world. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. In Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says that simply by knowing His transcendental pastimes, whether within this material world or in the spiritual world, anyone who understands factually who He, meaning Krishna, is, how He appears, and how He acts, can be immediately fit for transfer to the spiritual world. This principle, stated in the Bhagavad Gita, operated in the case of King Dhruva. Throughout his life, he tried to understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead by austerity and penances. Now, the mature result was that Dhruva Maharaja became fit to be carried to the spiritual world, accompanied by the confidential associates of the Lord, Hare Krishna. Okay, text number 25. To achieve Vishnu Loka is very difficult, but by your austerity, you have conquered. Even the great rishis and demigods cannot achieve this position. Simply to see the supreme abode, the Vishnu planet, the sun and moon and all other planets, stars, lunar mansions, and solar systems are circumambulating it. Now please come. You are welcome to go there. Haribol. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Even in this material world, the so-called scientists, philosophers, and mental speculators strive to merge into the spiritual sky, but they can never go there. But a devotee, by executing devotional service, not only realizes what the spiritual world actually is, but factually goes there to live an eternal life of bliss and knowledge. The Krishna consciousness movement is so potent that by adopting these principles of life and developing the love of God, one can very easily go back home, back to Godhead. Here, the practical example is the case of Dhruva Maharaja. While the scientist and philosopher go to the moon but are disappointed in their attempts to stay there and live, the devotee makes an easy journey to other planets and ultimately goes back to Godhead. Devotees have no interest in seeing other planets, but while going back to Godhead, they see all of them as passing phases, just as one who is going to a distant place passes through many small stations.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Text 26. Dear King Dhruva, neither your forefathers nor anyone else before you ever achieved such a transcendental planet. The planet known as Vishnu Loka, where Lord Vishnu personally resides, is the highest of all. It is worshipable by the inhabitants of all other planets within the universe. Please come with us and live there eternally. Wow. What an invitation that is. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. When Dhruva Maharaja went to perform austerities, he was very determined to achieve a post never dreamed of by his forefathers. His father was Uttanapada, his grandfather was Manu, and his great-grandfather was Lord Brahma. So Dhruva wanted a kingdom even greater than Lord Brahma could achieve, and he requested Narada Muni to give him facility for achieving it. The associates of Lord Krishna reminded him that not only his forefathers, but everyone else before him was unable to attain Vishnu Loka, the planets where Lord Vishnu resides. This is because everyone within this material world is either a karmi, a jnani, or a yogi, but there are hardly any pure devotees. The transcendental planet known as Vishnu Loka is especially meant for devotees, not for karmis, jnanis, or yogis. Great rishis or demigods can hardly approach Brahmaloka. And as stated in Bhagavad Gita, Brahmaloka is not a permanent residence. Lord Brahma's duration of life is so long that it is difficult to estimate even the duration of one day in his life. And yet, Lord Brahma also dies, as do the residents of his planet. Bhagavad Gita 8:16 says, Abrahma Bhuvanaloka Punar Avartu Yurjuna. Except for those who go to Vishnu Loka, everyone is subjected to the four principles of material life, namely birth, death, old age, and disease. The Lord says, Yad gatva na nivartante tad dhamma paramam mama. The planet from which, once going, no one returns is my supreme abode. Bhagavad Gita 15:6. Dhruva Maharaj was reminded, you are going in our company to that planet from which no one returns to this material world. Material scientists are attempting to go to the moon and other planets, but they cannot imagine going to the topmost planet, Brahmaloka, where it is beyond their imagination. By material calculation, traveling at the speed of light, it would take 40,000 light years to reach the topmost planet. By mechanical processes, we are unable to reach the topmost planet of this universe. But the process called Bhakti Yoga is executed by Maharaj Dhruva, can give one the facility not only to reach other planets within this universe, but also to reach beyond this universe to Vishnu Loka planets. We have outlined this in our small book, Easy Journey to Other Planets. That's cool. Text 27. O immortal one, this unique airplane has been sent by the Supreme Personality Godhead, who is worshipped by selected prayers and who is the chief of all living entities. You are quite worthy to board such a plane. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. According to astronomical calculation, along with the pole star, there is another star which is called Sisumara, Lord Vishnu, who is in charge of the maintenance of this material world, resides. Sisumara, or Dhruva can never be reached by anyone but the Vaishnavas, as will be described by the following slokas. The associates of Lord Vishnu brought the special airplane for Dhruva Maharaj and then informed him that Lord Vishnu had especially sent this airplane. Wow, that's a real airplane. It's not the junk airplanes that they have today. The Vaikuntha airplane does not move by mechanical arrangement. Yeah, you see, it's completely different than the junk airplanes that we have. There are three processes for moving in outer space. One of the processes is known to the modern scientists. It is called Kapota Vayu. Ka means outer space, and Pota means ship. There is a second process, also called Kapota Vayu, Kapota means pigeon. One can train pigeons to carry one into outer space. Wow, I didn't know pigeons were so powerful. I haven't seen a pigeon like that before. One can train pigeons to carry one into outer space. Have you ever heard that before?
No.
Amazing.
Kaput.
One can train pigeons to carry one into outer space. The third process is very subtle. It is called Akasha Patana. This Akasha Patana system is also material. Just as the mind can fly anywhere one likes without mechanical arrangement, so the Akasha Patana airplane can fly at the speed of mind. Beyond this Akasha Patana system is the Vaikuntha process, which is completely spiritual. The airplane spent by Lord Vishnu to carry Dhruva Maharaj to Sishamara was completely spiritual. Wow, we need airplanes like that. Transcendental airplane. Material scientists can neither see such vehicles nor imagine how they fly in the air. The material scientist has no information about the spiritual sky, although it is mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita, Paras Tasmat Bhava Nya. Text 28. The great sage Maitreya continues. Maharaj Dhruva was very dear to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. When he heard the sweet speeches of the Lord's chief associates in Vaikuntha planet, he immediately took his sacred bath, dressed himself with suitable ornament. I wonder what that sacred bath is. I've never heard that before, a sacred bath. Anyway, dressed himself with suitable ornaments and performed his daily spiritual duties. Thereafter, he offered his respectful obeisances to the great sages present there and accepted their blessings. We should mark how dutiful Dhruva Maharaj was in his devotional service. Even at the time he left this material world, he was constantly alert in the performance of devotional duties. Every devotee should take his bath early in the morning and decorate his body with tilaka. In Kali Yuga, one can hardly acquire gold or jeweled ornaments, but the 12 tilaka marks on the body are sufficient as auspicious decorations to purify the body. Since Dhruva Maharaja was living at that time in Badarik Ashram, there were other great sages there. He did not become puffed up because the airplane sent by Lord Vishnu was waiting for him. As a humble Vaishnava, he accepted blessings from all the sages before riding on the plane brought by the chief of the Vaikuntha associates. Okay, very important statements. Hare Krishna. Text 29. Before getting aboard, Dhruva Maharaja worshipped the airplane. Well, you never see that. Worshipped the airplane, circumambulated it, and also offered obeisances to the associates of Vishnu. In the meantime, he became as brilliant and illuminating as molten gold. Wow. In the meantime, he became as brilliant and illuminating as molten gold. He was thus completely prepared to board the transcendental plane. Now we know that there are transcendental planes. That means that they never died. They never jumped.
So even Tukaram's story also ends with, where the plane comes.
What's that?
in Bhakta Tukaram, Sant Tukaram,
What is that?
there's a devotee Tukaram.
Oh, Tukaram. Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
Towards his final days,
He got onto that plane.
plane,
Yeah.
the same plane, similar plane.
But his wife didn't. She was always criticizing him. But in the end, she was running to get onto that plane, but the plane took off without her. That's what happens, you know. Women have to understand. You keep criticizing your husband, they'll get on the plane and you won't be able to get on there. She won't be able to get on. Haribol.
Right.
Before getting aboard, Dhruva Maharaj worshipped the airplane, circumambulated it, and also offered obeisances to the associates of Vishnu. In the meantime, he became as brilliant and illuminating as molten gold. Wow. Wow, he became like that. It's amazing.
Mm.
He was thus completely prepared to board the transcendental plane. In the absolute world, the plane, the associates of Lord Vishnu, and Lord Vishnu himself are all spiritual. There is no material contamination. In quality, everything there is one. As Lord Vishnu is worshipable, so also are his associates, his paraphernalia, his airplane, and his abode, for everything of Vishnu's is
As good as.
Is as good as Lord Vishnu. Dhruva Maharaja knew all this very well. You know, it doesn't mention any dogs or cats. It's very interesting. Dhruva Maharaj knew all this very well. As a pure Vaishnava, and he offered his respects to the associates and to the plane before riding in it. But in the meantime, his body changed into spiritual existence. Wow, that's amazing. His body changed into spiritual existence and riding in it.
And
therefore, it was illuminating like molten gold.
Wow.
In this way, he also became one of the other paraphernalia, one with the other paraphernalia Lord Vishnu. Wow, wow, amazing. Notice it doesn't say he merged into Vishnu. He maintained his identity, but now he had what? His body changed into spiritual existence.
Yes.
Wow. And therefore, it was illuminating like molten gold. In this way, he also became one with the other paraphernalia of Lord Vishnu, Loka. Mayavadi philosophers cannot imagine how this oneness can be achieved even in different varieties. Very good. Achinkya Veda Tattva. Their idea of oneness is that there is no variety. I'm glad you said that. Therefore, they have become impersonals. As Sisumara, Vishnaloka, or Dhruvaloka are completely different from this material world, so a Vishnu temple within this world is also completely different from this material world. As soon as we are in a temple, we should know very well that we are situated differently from the material world. Okay. As soon as we are in a temple, we should know very well that we are situated differently from the material world. In the temple, Lord Vishnu, his throne, his room, and all other things associated with the temple are transcendental. The three modes, Sattva Guna, Raja Guna, and Tama Guna, have no entrance into the temple. It is said, therefore, that to live in the forest is in the mode of goodness. To live in the city is in the mode of passion. And to live in a brothel, liquor shop, or slaughterhouse is in the mode of ignorance. But to live in temple means to live in Vaikuntha Loka. Everything in the temple is as worshipful as Lord Vishnu or Krishna. Wow. Amazing statement. Yeah, let me see here. Okay. Text number 30. When Dhruva Maharaj was attempting to get on the transcendental plane, he saw death personified approaching. Not caring for death, however, he took advantage of the opportunity to put his feet on the head of death. And thus he got up on the airplane and was as big as a house. Wow. So even his body expanded. Okay. There are no airplanes like that today, for sure. To take the passing away of a devotee and the passing away of a non-devotee as one and the same is completely misleading.
Mm-hmm.
While ascending the transcendental airplane, Dhruva Maharaja suddenly saw death personified before him. But he was not afraid. Instead of death giving him trouble, Dhruva Maharaj took advantage of death's presence and put his feet on the head of death. People with a poor fund of knowledge do not know the difference between the death of a devotee and the death of a non-devotee. In this connection, an example can be given. A cat carries its kittens in its mouth. This is a great example.
Yeah.
Great example.
Mm.
And it also catches a rat in its mouth. Superficially, the catching of the rat and the kitten appear to be one and the same, but actually they are not. When the cat catches the rat in its mouth, it means death for the rat. Whereas when the cat catches the kitten enjoys it. When Dhruva Maharaja boarded the airplane, he took advantage of the arrival of death personified, who came to offer him obeisances. Putting his feet on the head of death, he got up on the unique airplane, which is described here to be as big as a house. Griham. There are many other similar instances in Bhagavata literature. It is stated that when Kardama Muni created an airplane to carry his wife, Devahuti, all over the universe, the airplane was like a big city carrying many houses, lakes, and gardens. Modern scientists have manufactured big airplanes, but they are packed with passengers who experience all sorts of discomforts while riding in them. That's true. Especially if you're in the
Economy.
Huh?
Economy class.
Yeah, economic class. Yeah, treat you like crap. Material scientists are not even perfect in manufacturing a material airplane. In order to compare to the plane used by Kardama or the plane sent from Vishnu Loka, they must manufacture an airplane equipped with a big city, with all the comforts of life, lakes, gardens, parks, etc. Now that's a
It's
real
like a big-
airplane.
Yeah.
It's like
I
a big.
want to see the Boeing, if they could do that. They can't do that, etc. Their plane must be with all the comforts of life, lakes, gardens, parks, etc. Their plane must be able to fly in outer space and hover. It means it can stay in the space and stay in one place if it wants, and visit all other planets. If they invent such a plane, they will not have to make different space stations for fuel to travel into outer space. Such a plane would have an unlimited supply of fuel, or like the plane from Vishnaloka, would fly without it, without fuel. Wow, that's even better. Text 31 has a lot of nice information in these verses.
Yes.
At that time, the drums and kettle drums resounded. Oh, it's like our kirtans now. The drums and kettle drums resounded from the sky. The chief Gandharvas began to sing, and other demigods showered flowers like torrents of rain upon Dhruva Maharaj. Very nice. Dhruva was seated in the transcendental airplane, which was just about to start, when he remembered his poor mother, Suniti. He thought to himself, how shall I go alone to the Vaikuntha planet and leave behind my poor mother? Ah, that's a real son. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Dhruva had a feeling of obligation to his mother, Suniti. It was Suniti who had given him the clue which had now enabled him to be personally carried to the Vaikuntha planet by the associates of Lord Vishnu. He now remembered her and wanted to take her with him. Actually, Dhruva Maharaj's mother, Suniti, was his Pata Pradakshana Guru. Pata Pradaksha Guru means the Guru or the spiritual master who shows the way. Such a Guru is sometimes called Shiksha Guru. Although Narada Muni was his Diksha Guru, initiating spiritual master, Suniti, his mother, was the first who gave him instruction on how to achieve the favor of the Supreme Personality of God. It is the duty of the Siksha Guru or Diksha Guru to instruct the disciple in the right way, and it depends on the disciple to execute the process. According to Shastric injunctions, there is no difference between Shiksha Guru and Diksha Guru. Oh, that's a big statement. A lot of people make that mistake. They say, I only listen to what my Diksha Guru says. According to Shastric injunction, there's no difference between Shiksha Guru and Diksha Guru. And generally, the Shiksha Guru later on becomes the Diksha Guru. Suniti, however, being a woman and specifically his mother, could not become Dhruva Maharaj's Diksha Guru. Still, he was not less obliged to Suniti. There was no question of carrying Narada Muni but Dhruva Maharaj thought of his mother. Whatever plan the Supreme Personality of Godhead contemplates immediately fructifies. Ah, wonderful statement. Whatever plan the Supreme Personality of Godhead contemplates immediately fructifies. Similarly, a devotee who is completely dependent on the Supreme Lord can also fulfill his wishes by the grace of the Lord. The Lord fulfills his wishes independently, but a devotee fulfills his wishes simply by being dependent on the Supreme Personality of God. Therefore, as soon as Dhruva Maharaj thought of his poor mother, he was assured by the associates of Vishnu that Suniti was also going to Vaikuntha Loka in another plane. Dhruva Maharaja had thought that he was going alone to Vaikuntha Loka, leaving behind his mother, which was not very auspicious, because people would criticize him for going alone to Vaikuntha Loka and not carrying with him Suniti, who had given him so much. But Dhruva also considered that he was not personally the supreme. Therefore, if Krishna fulfilled his desires, only then would it be possible. Krishna could immediately understand his mind. Wow. And he told Dhruva that his mother was also going with him. This incident proves that a pure devotee like Dhruva Maharaj can fulfill all his desires, meaning spiritual desires, of course, by the grace of the Lord. He becomes exactly like the Lord, and thus whatever he thinks of, and whenever he thinks of anything, his wish is immediately fulfilled. Okay, my dear friends, you should become pure devotee. Just see the benefits of becoming a pure devotee. Whenever he thinks of anything, his wish is immediately fulfilled. Wow. Text 33. Haribol. We're learning a lot of things in these verses. Amazing.
Yes.
New things that we didn't know. Text 33. The great associates of Vaikuntha Loka, Nanda and Sunanda, could understand the mind of Dhruva Maharaj, and thus they showed him that his mother, Suniti, was going forward in another plane. Wow. This, from purport by Srila Prabhupada, this incident proves that the Shiksha or Diksha Guru who has a disciple who strongly executes devotional service like Dhruva Maharaj can be carried by the disciple, even though the instructor is not as advanced. Wow, let me read that again. This incident proves that the Shiksha or Diksha Guru who has a disciple who strongly executes devotional service like Dhruva Maharaj can be carried by the disciple, even though the instructor is not as advanced. Meaning that the teacher is being taken back to Godhead by Dhruva Maharaj. Although Suniti was an instructor to Dhruva Maharaj, she could not go to the forest because she was a woman, nor could she execute austerities and penances as Dhruva Maharaj did. Still, Dhruva Maharaj was able to take his mother with him. Similarly, Prahlada Maharaj also delivered his atheistic father, Hiranyakashipu. The conclusion is that a disciple or an offspring who is very strong, a very strong devotee, can carry with him to Vaikuntha Loka either his father, mother, or Shiksha or Diksha Guru. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur used to say, if I could perfectly deliver even one soul back home, back to Godhead, I would think my mission, propagating Krishna consciousness, to be successful. Hare Krishna. The Krishna consciousness movement is spreading now all over the world. And sometimes I think that even though I am crippled in many ways, if one of my disciples becomes as strong as Dhruva Maharaj, then he will be able to carry me with him to Vaikuntha Loka. Wow, what a statement by Prabhupada. So humble. That's amazing. Well, Prabhupada did have one disciple like that. That was, well, he had several disciples like that. But one was
Jayananda.
Jayananda, yeah. But there's another one also, Tamal Krishna Maharaj.
Hmm.
Well, text 34. When Dhruva Maharaj was passing through space, he gradually saw all the planets of the solar system. And on the path, he saw all the demigods and their airplanes showering flowers upon him like rain. This is a Vedic version. Now, there is a Vedic version. Kasmin Bhagavo Vidyate Sarvam Idam Vyatam Bhavati, which means that by knowing the Supreme Personality of Godhead, everything becomes known to the devotee. Wow. Similarly, by going to the planets of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one can know all the other planetary systems on the path to Vaikuntha. We should remember that Dhruva Maharaj's body was different from our body. While boarding the Vaikuntha airplane, his body changed to a completely spiritual golden hue. Oh, God. No one can surpass the higher planets in a material body, but when one gets a spiritual body, he can travel not only to the higher planetary system of this material world, but even to the still higher planetary system known as Vaikuntha Loka. It is well known that Narada Muni travels everywhere, both in the spiritual and material worlds. That means he has a completely spiritual body. It should be noted also that while Suniti was going to Vaikuntha Loka, she also changed her body into a spiritual form. Like Sri Suniti, every mother should train her child to become a devotee, like Dhruva Maharaja. Suniti instructed her son, even at the age of 5 years, to be unattached to worldly affairs, and that her son remained and to go to the forest to search out the Supreme Lord. She never desired her son remain at home comfortably without ever undertaking austerities and penances to achieve the favor of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Whoa, every mother should hear this. This is very important. Every mother, like Suniti, must take care of her son and train him to become a brahmachari from the age of 5 years and to undergo austerities and penances for spiritual realization. Wow. Hey, this is a whole new way of raising a child. The benefit will be that if her son becomes a strong devotee like Dhruva Maharaj, like Dhruva, certainly not only will he be transferred back home, back to Godhead, but she will also be transferred with him to the spiritual world, even though she may be unable to undergo austerities and penances in executing devotional service. I know somebody like that. I know, a mother and a son that it exactly fits that description. Text 35. Dhruva Maharaja thus surpassed the 7 planetary systems of the great sages, who are known as Saptarishi. Beyond that region, he achieved the transcendental situation of permanent life in the planet where the Lord lives, where Lord Vishnu lives. Wow. There's no Boeing that can take you to that place. Purport. The airplane was piloted by the 2 chief associates of Lord Vishnu, namely Sunanda and Nanda. Only such spiritual astronauts can pilot their airplane beyond the 7 planets and arrive in the region of eternal blissful life. There's no airplane like that we know of yet. It is confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita also, Parastasmatu Bhavo Nyam, that beyond this planetary system begins the spiritual sky, where everything is permanent and blissful. The planets there are known as Vishnu Loka or Vishnu or Vaikuntha Loka. Only there can one get an eternal life of knowledge. Below, Vaikuntha Loka is the material universe where Lord Brahma and others in Brahmaloka can live until the annihilation of this universe. But that life is not permanent. That is also confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita of Brahma, Bhuvanal Loka. Even if one goes to the topmost planet, one cannot achieve eternal life. Only by arriving in Vaikuntha Loka can one live an eternally blissful life. Well, that's what we should aim for. Vaikuntha Loka. Text 36. The self-effulgent Vaikuntha planets, by whose illumination alone all the illuminating planets within the material world give off reflected light, cannot be reached by those who are not merciful to other living entities. Okay, no more killing ants, no more killing bugs, and be very careful about killing living entities. Only persons who constantly engage in welfare activities for other living entities can reach the Vaikuntha planets. Wow. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Here is a description of 2 aspects of the Vaikuntha planets. The first is that in the Vaikuntha sky, there is no need of the sun and moon. This is confirmed by the Upanishads as well, as Bhagavad Gita. Natad vasayate sudro na sankha sasankha na pavaka. In the spiritual world, the Vaikuntha lokas are themselves illuminated. There is therefore no need of sun, moon, or electric light. It is, in fact, the illumination of the Vaikuntha lokas which is reflected in the material sky. Only by this reflection are the suns in the material universes illuminated. After the illumination of the sun, all the stars and moons are illuminated. In other words, all the luminaries in the material sky borrow illumination from Vaikuntha Loka. And that's a very good statement. All the luminaries in the material sky borrow illumination from Vaikuntha Loka. From this material world, however, people can be transferred to the Vaikuntha Loka if they incessantly engage in welfare activities for all other living entities. Well, that means giving prasadam to all the living entities, giving them knowledge of Krishna to all living entities, and so forth. Well, how can you help an ant? Well, you take a little piece, a little bit of sugar, and put it in the trajectory of the ant, and you go like this. Hare Krishna. And now the ant will become purified. Such incessant welfare activities can really be performed only in Krishna consciousness. I like that. Such incessant, meaning unending welfare activities can really be performed only in Krishna consciousness. Yeah, one time I was hearing a lecture given by Prabhupada. Prabhupada was there, and I was fortunate enough to be there hearing his lecture. And Tamal Krishna Maharaj was there. And at one point, Tamal Krishna, and Prabhupada had asked Tamal Krishna to give the lecture. So he was giving a lecture. And at one point, Tamal Krishna said, and we're not interested in welfare activities. And Prabhupada stopped him. He said, no, that is not true. He said, we are giving the most welfare activities. Such incessant welfare activities can really be performed only in Krishna consciousness. Yeah, so we are engaging in welfare activities, like Prabhupada says. But it's the best welfare activity. There is no philanthropic work within this material world but Krishna consciousness that can engage a person 24 hours a day. That's correct. There's no philanthropic work within this material world but Krishna consciousness that can engage a person 24 hours a day. Yeah. A Krishna conscious person is always engaged in planning how to take all of suffering humanity back home, back to Godhead, even if one is not successful in reclaiming all the fallen souls back to Godhead, still, because he is Krishna conscious, his path to Vaikuntha Loka is open. He personally becomes qualified to enter the Vaikuntha Lokas. And if anyone follows such a devotee, he also enters Vaikuntha Lokas. And if anyone follows such a devotee, he also enters into Vaikuntha Lokas. Others who engage in envious activities are known as karmis. Karmis are envious of one another. Whoa, that's a correct statement. Karmis Karmis are envious of one another. Simply for sense gratification, they can kill thousands of innocent animals. Wow, that's the truth. Yeah, they're eating so many animals. You go to all these big stores, even the organic stores, they have organic meat. That's completely nonsense. There's no such thing as organic. Ghanis are not as sinful as karmis, but they do not try to reclaim others back to God. They perform austerities for their own liberation. Yogis are also engaged in self-aggrandizement, meaning making themselves more prominent by trying to attain mystic powers. But devotees, Vaishnavas, who are servants of the Lord, come forward in the actual field of work in Krishna consciousness to reclaim fallen souls. Only Krishna conscious persons are eligible to enter into the spiritual world. That is clearly stated in this verse, and it's confirmed in Bhagavad Gita, wherein the Lord says that there is no one dearer to him than those who preach the gospel Bhagavad Gita to the world. Okay, that is our takeaway for today. That is, it says, only Krishna conscious persons are eligible to enter into the spiritual world. That is clearly stated in this verse and is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita, wherein the Lord says that there is no one dearer to him than those who preach the gospel of Bhagavad Gita to the world. Harivilas. That should be our purpose in life, to teach others Krishna consciousness. Even if you only make one person qualified to go back to Godhead, you go back to Godhead also. Just look at Prabhupada. He made thousands, hundreds of thousands of people qualified to go back to Godhead. That's why he is a pure devotee. Okay, text 37. Persons who are peaceful, equipoised, cleansed and purified, and who know the art of pleasing all other entities. Wow, that's a big art. All other entities. Keep friendship only with devotees of the Lord. They alone can very easily achieve the perfection of going back home, back to God. Okay, that means you got to give up associating with non-devotees.
Yeah.
Very important. Because they're contaminating. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The description of this verse fully indicates that only devotees are eligible to enter into the kingdom of Godhead. The first point stated is that devotees are peaceful, for they have no demands for their personal sense gratification. That's a very important statement. They are simply dedicated to the service of the Lord. Karmis cannot be peaceful because they have immense demands for sense gratification. Oh my God, it's true. As for Gyanis, they cannot be peaceful because they are too busy trying to attain liberation or emerge into the existence of the Supreme. Similarly, yogis are also relentless to get mystic power.
Restless.
But a devotee is peaceful because he is fully surrendered to the Supreme Personality of Godhead and thinks of himself as completely helpless. Just as a child feels complete peace in depending on the parent, so a devotee is completely peaceful, for he depends on the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Wow. A devotee is equipoised. He sees everyone on the same transcendental platform. A devotee knows that although a conditioned soul has a particular type of body, according to his past fruitive activities, factually, everyone is part of the Supreme Lord. Okay, that's a big family. Everyone is part of the Supreme Lord. A devotee sees all living entities with equal spiritual vision and does not discriminate on the platform of the bodily concept of life. But everybody's discriminating on the platform of the bodily concept of life. Such qualities develop only in the association of devotees. Without the association of devotees, one cannot advance in Krishna consciousness. Therefore, we have established the International Society, I like that, International Society for Krishna Consciousness. Factually, whoever lives in this society automatically develops Krishna consciousness. Devotees are dear to the Supreme Personality of God, and the Supreme Personality of Godhead is only dear to devotees. On this platform, only can one make progress in Krishna consciousness. Let me read that again. A devotee sees all living entities with spiritual vision and does not discriminate on the platform of the bodily concept of life. Such qualities develop only in the association of devotees. Without the association of devotees, one cannot advance in Krishna consciousness. Therefore, we have established the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. Factually, whoever lives in this society automatically develops Krishna consciousness. Devotees are dear to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and the Supreme Personality of Godhead is only dear to devotees. On this platform only can one make progress in Krishna consciousness. Persons in Krishna consciousness or devotees of the Lord can please everyone, as is evident in the Krishna consciousness movement. We invite everyone without discrimination. And we invite everyone without discrimination. We request everyone to sit down and chant the Hare Krishna mantra and take as much prasada as we can supply. And thus, everyone is pleased with us. This is the qualification. Sarva Bhutatma and Sarva Bhutangaranjana. As for purification, no one can be more pure than devotees. Anyone who once utters the name of Vishnu immediately becomes purified, inside and outside. Yasmaret Marikasha. Since a devotee constantly chants the Hare Krishna mantra, no contamination of the material world can touch him. He is therefore actually purified. Muchi Haya Suchi Haya Yadi Krishna Vaje. It is said that even a cobbler or a person born in the family of a cobbler can be elevated to the position of a Brahmana, Suchi, if he takes to Krishna consciousness. Any person who is purely Krishna conscious and who engages in chanting the Hare Krishna mantra is the purest in the whole universe. This is our takeaway. This is the biggest takeaway today. Canto 4, chapter 12, verse number 37. Any person who is purely Krishna conscious and who engages in chanting the Hare Krishna mantra is the purest in the whole universe. Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Okay, we'll end today, this morning, from that statement that we can meditate on all day. Any person who is purely Krishna conscious and who engages in chanting the Hare Krishna mantra is the purest in the whole universe. Wow. That's a big, 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 big statement. Okay, thank you very much, my dear boys. Are there any questions anyone would like to ask? Any questions about the outside world?
We are in the spiritual realm.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Yes.
So Prabhupada says on this platform, only can one make progress in Krishna consciousness. And I think the platform is the association of the devotees. Is that true only for Kali Yuga, Maharaj?
What?
Or previous in the Kali Yuga?
Yeah.
Is do we need a platform like this even more to make progress in Krishna consciousness? Or in general, was it always like that, where you can only, or you can, in the association of devotees only you can make more spiritual progress?
Yeah, it's true. It's always true.
Always true.
Yeah. Yeah, as far back you go, it's going to be like that also. You can only make
Yeah.
spiritual advancement in the association of genuine devotees.
Dhruv Maharaj was when he was living 100,000 years, right? Because he was blessed to rule for 36,000 years. So imagine, that means like it was in a different yuga. Even there, the same principle holds true.
Yeah. That's the
Oh,
benefit.
here it says that keep friendship only with devotees of the Lord. It says that.
Yeah, that shows how powerful association with a genuine devotee is. You also become a genuine devotee. Okay. So here Prabhupada is revealing something very important. He says, a devotee sees all living entities with spiritual vision and does not discriminate on the platform of the bodily concept of life. Such qualities develop only in the association of devotees. Without the association of devotees, one cannot advance in Krishna consciousness. Okay, so that eliminates all the people that say, "Well, I'll be Krishna conscious myself." Without the associated devotees, one cannot advance in Krishna consciousness. Therefore, we have established the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. Factually, whoever lives in this society automatically develops Krishna consciousness. Wow, Prabhupada is so clear. Devotees are dear to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And the Supreme Personality of Godhead is only dear to devotees. Yeah, and by the way, Krishna also says that there's no one dear to me more than one who preaches Krishna consciousness to others. So we should all try and help others become Krishna conscious. Then we become very dear to Krishna. Factually, whoever lives in this society, meaning Krishna consciousness, International Society for Krishna Consciousness, automatically develops Krishna consciousness. Devotees are dear to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and the Supreme Personality of Godhead is only dear to devotees. On this platform only can one make progress in Krishna consciousness. You can't be, wishy-washy, One day Krishna consciousness, next day nonsense. That wishy-washiness does not work. On this platform only can one make progress in Krishna consciousness. Persons in Krishna consciousness or devotees of the Lord can please everyone, as is evident in the Krishna consciousness movement. We invite everyone without discrimination. We request everyone to sit down and chant the Hare Krishna mantra and take as much prasada as we can supply, and thus everyone is pleased with us. This is the qualification. Sarvabhutatma Ranjana. As for purification, no one can be more pure than devotees. Anyone who once utters the name of Vishnu immediately becomes purified, inside and outside. Yasmanet Madharikaksha. Since a devotee constantly chants the Hare Krishna mantra, Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
no contamination of the material world can touch him. He is therefore actually purified. Muchi Haya Suchi Haya Yadi Krishna Bhaje. It is said that even a cobbler or a person born in the family of a cobbler can be elevated to the position of a Brahmana Suchi if he takes to Krishna consciousness. And a person who is purely Krishna conscious and who engages in chanting the Hare Krishna mantra is the purest in the whole universe. Whoa. Why is he talking about cobbler? Because cobblers always have their hands on dead bodies.
Hmm.
So they're considered the lowest of the lowest. But even the cobbler, or as it says, Uchi Haya Suchi Haya Yada Krishna Vaje. It is said that even a cobbler or person born in the family of a cobbler can be elevated to the position of a brahmana or Suchi, Suchi meaning cleansed, if he takes the Krishna consciousness. Any person who is purely Krishna conscious and who engages in chanting the Hare Krishna mantra is the purest in the whole universe. Wow. You want to be the purest in the whole universe, you have to become a devotee. And chant Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Krishna
Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare
Rama,
Hare
Rama,
Rama,
Rama, Hare Hare.
We'll stop right there because these are huge statements being made by Prabhupada. And we could meditate on this all day long. Actually, meditate on this the rest of our life.
Correct. Rest of our life.
If we understand what he's saying here, that's enough to take you back to God.
This one was 37.
Any person who is purely Krishna conscious and who engages in chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna
Krishna
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Rama, Hare
Rama,
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 Hare
Hare Hare.
is the purest in the whole
Whole
universe.
universe.
Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Thank you, Prabhupada.
Ki
Yeah. Without Prabhupada, we wouldn't know anything. I think we'll stop right there, unless there are some questions. So we can meditate on this. Any person is purely Krishna conscious and who engages in chanting the Hare Krishna mantra is the purest in the whole universe. Hari Bol. I rest my case.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Yes.
I have two questions, Maharaj.
Yeah.
The first one, Maharaj, in this whole thing, they describe more about Vaikuntha and Vishnu Loka, but not about Goloka Vrindavan. Why do they only talk about Vaikuntha and not Goloka Vrindavan?
Oh, Goloka and Vaikuntha. Vaikuntha is part of Goloka. So that's why. Because if you go to the Vaikuntha, you are right there next to Goloka.
One and the same.
Yeah. You should want to go to Goloka or Vaikuntha. That means you're right there in Goloka. You know. It's not that there's something wrong with Vaikuntha. If you reach Vaikuntha, you hit the top also. Right?
They're all one and the same.
Yeah.
So, given that offer, don't give it away.
Oh no. Take any offer. Go back. Maharaj, the second question I had, Maharaj, because I've entered Krishna, I mean, I had a life before Krishna consciousness, so you still have non-devotees in your life. How do you, I still pray for them, but how do you disassociate in a way that you don't hurt anybody? Because you already have some relationships from before.
I'm not clear about your question because are you still associating with unholy people?
At work, Maharaj, at work you have even in everyday, I have a lot of friends who are not devotees from before. I don't talk to them as much as before, but I just want to be conscious that I do it in a way that I don't hurt them.
Well, how much do you associate with them though?
Not as
in
much as
24 hours, how much do you associate with non-devotees?
at work, Maharaj. Everybody's a non-devotee,
Okay.
so I get my work done by working.
Yeah, but
Doing-
you sit down with them when they're eating a piece of meat.
Sometimes yes, Maharaj, because there is team lunches and all. But I take my own lunch these days. But I eat my lunch with everybody.
Well, do they ever ask you why you're not eating meat?
They ask sometimes, Maharaj. They've asked me initially, and I said I gave my reasons, and they appreciate that, but they do their own thing.
Are you obliged to sit down with them?
That is a time when you have normal conversation. I'm not obliged, but I think it's a part of building a relationship also. Because the rest of the time you're in meetings, you're getting work done. There are only certain opportunities where you're actually building a relationship.
Well, that's a little dangerous. I would not do that. Why? Because you're actually associating with non-devotees at that point. Because you're sitting down with them and watching them eat meat. And they're talking nonsense. They're talking about their vacation. They're talking about the new baby. They're talking about this and talking about that. So that's not good for you to be in that type of association. You can work with them, but to sit down and eat with them, that's not good. It can influence you, believe me, because the fact that you're watching someone eating meat is it's like watching someone that's just killed an animal. That what they're eating was an animal. So, and they act as if it's normal, but it's a very, very simple thing. So, I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it. You can, I don't think what you can do. Well, you could always bring extra prashana with you and share it with the others, but still, you're going to be watching them eating meat. That's not a good thing. That can influence you. You might say, "Oh no, it doesn't influence me at all." No, but you get influenced.
It does not influence me, Maharaj, really, maybe. I mean, not now. I rarely, for example. At least that's how I
Maharaj predicted your response.
I don't even look at them. For example, most of the times I go when we are eating snacks or something. Like actual lunch, I only stay for a little while because people are busy eating lunch. But during snacks,
but you're not obliged to stay even 1 minute. I wouldn't do it because they make it look like it's normal to eat meat, right? They never ask you, "Oh, you should eat meat. It's really good."
They don't say that, Maharaj, but they've asked me initially why I don't eat, and I said that. I said that they really appreciate that. They appreciate the determination.
Well, you should tell them all the meat eaters go to hell.
Then they'll not associate with me.
And she'll not.
That might be good.
But
even have an
she won't be able to get the work.
violation.
She won't be able to get her work done, Maharaj. So,
But I get your point, Maharaj. Try to minimize as much as you can.
Yeah, definitely.
If it's not necessary for you to be.
yeah, it's maybe oh, I have some work to catch up to. I gotta eat.
I usually do that. A lot of times when they're drinking and all, I just think, okay, no, I have work at home. I need to go take care of kids.
Drinking what? Liquor?
Yeah, after work, sometimes they go, Maharaj. They always ask me to come. I was like, no, I have something to do. My daughter has something. So I go. I need to sleep early.
Watch them drinking.
Yeah, that I avoid.
Well, you don't want to watch them eating meat either.
Yeah.
Why? Because that can influence you. You might say, no, it doesn't influence me.
At least I feel that way, Maharaj, because I actually, when I sit, if I have to sit with somebody who's doing something like drinking or eating meat, because sometimes they serve it at work also, I just pray for them. I mean, I avoid that, but if I have to sit next to them, I just pray for them and I just do my thing and come back.
Well, let's put it like this. You're in dangerous territory.
Exactly.
Now. You have to be very careful.
I think the way it influences probably is that our intensity in the practices goes down.
That yeah, that I agree.
And
So
it's a
we
slippery
try to
Maybe
we try
over
to
time, if you
yeah,
do
we
more
try
and more
to-
of that,
exactly.
that
It's a
makes
slippery
sense.
slope, slowly.
yeah.
In subtle consciousness.
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. I have a other side, like just opposite question. How to handle the situation where you don't turn into fanatic and still accept, especially your family members and near relatives, if they are not, let's say, properly, they are eating onion garlic, or they don't offer the food to Krishna. You have very limited this thing. So in any situation, how cannot be like fanatic? Like there are, like, when we go out in the corporate world, there are books, they say never eat alone, always eat with someone, and I am the opposite side of the pendulum. So how do you handle such a situation where I can never even, I mean, I don't want to associate with such people, and then it's like a frenetic movement. So how do you become accommodating and yet not being frenetic?
By not associating with them. Associating with non-devotees is very bad. Very, very bad.
Even if they're your close relatives or close friends, so we should avoid it at all thing. And because I heard this word frenetic used for me, so that's why I was asking, will this be called frenetic if I go into the other side of pendulum and I live there only?
When you go where?
I think
No,
Mati,
Like,
no association at all, like no accommodation at all, right? Like if even if they are your close relatives and all, and you don't associate and you don't want to indulge talking with them, then that's okay. Just a question.
would we consider Dhruv Maharaj fanatic?
Prabhuji, I am asking totally different question. I'm asking how I can be accommodating with my relatives and other friends if I don't associate with them. I don't do all this, but I heard this comment for myself that I'm being frenetic. So I'm asking Guru Maharaj how I can be gentle yet not seen as frenetic,
Well, don't
because
try
I follow it
relatives.
Right.
Number
strictly.
one. Don't try and preach to your relatives because they'll feel insulted.
so Maharaj, you were saying do that, you still avoid, do the things you need to do, but don't preach to them.
Well, you have to avoid the association of non-devotees. It's number one rule in Krishna consciousness, to avoid the association of non-devotees. So you can work with non-devotees, but if you sit down at the same table and they're eating meat and you're sitting there and they're talking all kinds of nonsense, that's association. So you should try and avoid that type of situation. Or when there's, Christmas time and there's, people are, have a special a dinner or something that you're invited to, you should avoid those type of situations. Not go to this type of, because they're going to be drinking, they're going to be happy, and you're going to feel, lonely because you can't associate with them,
Anyway.
but you're mixing with them. So it's best to, find an excuse not to go, or to go there and then leave right away. You know, that happens. I know a lot of people like that. You know, they'll come to a program and leave right away.
Mhm.
You know, after about 10 minutes, they say, "Okay, I got something to do. I need to go away."
I think that is better, Maharaj. I try to do that because you'll go in the initial half an hour, none of these things will happen. So you just go, you can meet people and then just come before they have dinner or start any of these things.
Yeah.
So that way you're still giving association but leaving when.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, well, we solved that problem. Yeah, associating with non-devotees is a very bad thing.
Maharaj, one question what that Mataji also asked. At work, you can do that, Maharaj, with your family members and like you have close friends with whom you're friends for like 40 years, 50 years, let's say.
Well, you
How do
should
you
say,
deal with
you
that?
should tell the friend that you're friends with 40 years.
Yeah.
You haven't stopped eating meat yet?
Like my brother, if I tell Maharaj, like for them, they think I'm fanatic because I've stopped all of because when you talk about sin, nobody in this material world
No, you have
wants
to
talk
be
about sin.
scientific. You have to show them all the studies that have been made about the nefarious influence of meat eaters. There's scientific evidence that eating meat is very bad for you. So you should come and
That they agree, Maharaj. Then they'll say, okay, I'm only eating limited. So I'm not overeating. Not like I'm not eating red meat. I'm eating. I'm not eating like somebody who.
Lean meat.
I'm not eating every day. Lean meat and in limited portions. So they think that is okay.
well, it's just like smoking. You know, you see someone says, "Well, I only smoke 2 cigarettes a day." You know, I'm not a chain smoker, but still, there's influence. You know, so you have to be scientific.
That's true, Maharaj.
You have to produce scientific evidence.
No, even the spiritual people, Maharaj. Yes, with people who are not spiritual, I only use scientific evidence.
Yeah.
Even the spiritual people, most of them are Mayavadis. You cannot talk about sin because for them everything is auspicious. The minute you talk about sin, they'll think you are, which I
Hare
avoid.
Krishna, Hare Krishna, or a Christian. Well, you don't have to talk about sin, but you can always talk scientifically.
Yeah.
There's so many scientific researches. Prabhupada said once, we don't have to do any research. All the research has been done. You simply have to know how to interpret it correctly. Right? So all the research has been done. So you do the research to try and convince someone of the nefarious influence of meat in their life. Or, you go and get scientific evidence, right, of what they're doing. Like, they say, well, drinking wine is good for your health. There's so many studies that say it's good for your health, but there are other studies that prove that it's not good for your health. So you have to be scientific.
It's better to stick to that.
Yeah. Science. They accept science. They don't accept, well, in Krishna consciousness, we don't do that. They won't accept that at all.
Yeah.
But if you have some scientific evidence to share with others, at least they hear you.
Yeah, that's
right?
true. Very good
But
point,
if you
Maharaj.
start preaching to them, they're not going to hear you at all. So get some scientific evidence. The evidence is there. Prabhupada said, we don't have to do any, what we call, we don't have to do any research. All the research has been done. You simply have to, understand what the research says and be able to explain it to others. All the research is done already. You don't have to do any research. Like, for example, you look at Einstein. Did he do any research? Look that up. Did he do any research?
He only theorized. He came up with the theories based on.
He took the work of others and gave a more profound understanding of it. He didn't do any seminal research. What does it say? Just see, did he do any research? Did Einstein do any research?
It says yes.
Huh?
Yes, Albert Einstein conducted groundbreaking research in various fields of physics. Some of his most notable contributions include theory of relativity, photoelectric effect, Brownian motion, and unified field theory, quantum theory, and critics. Einstein's research significantly influenced modern physics and continues to inspire scientific exploration.
He actually did research. He actually did, experiments.
Maybe we should ask, did
Yeah.
Einstein do any experiments?
Okay, go ahead, yes.
It just says he made contributions. He says dedicated years to developing a unified field theory.
Yeah, mostly
That's a
the-
unified field
Yeah.
theory. That's,
Yeah.
oh, by the way, he never finished that.
Yeah, Maharaj, you're right. Albert Einstein was primarily a theoretical
physicist.
Yeah.
meaning he focused on developing theories and mathematical models rather than conducting physical experiments.
There it is. He never did any research.
Experiment. He didn't do experiments.
Yeah, he didn't do any.
Research can be done without experiment. Yeah. It's just gathering information and drawing conclusions. Research can be done.
Like a theoretical.
No,
research.
it's not even gathering information. He looked at what was already researched and he gave a new theory to
Theory.
it.
He
Try to
developed.
connect them.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah.
It's a,
He was
He
smart.
formulated groundbreaking.
He was very smart.
yeah,
He formulated groundbreaking theories through thought experiments. Thought.
yes, exactly. And Prabhupada said that. He explained that, you don't have to do any research. All the research has been done. You just have to give the right,
Interpretation.
let's say, the right explanation of it. You see?
See, however, while Einstein didn't conduct hands-on experiments himself, many of his theories were later tested and confirmed through experiments by other scientists.
Okay, that's fine. But he himself did not do any research. That's the main point.
Experiment.
Right?
He formulated theories through thought experiments and mathematical reasoning.
Okay.
He didn't conduct any physical experiment.
And we don't have to perform any experiments in Krishna consciousness. If we accept parampara, knowledge, right? We don't have to. It's already been experimented. Yeah. So if you just stick to that, then eventually all the other people, as time goes on, will say, "Oh my God, what you were telling us 50 years ago.
Yeah.
Now
Stick with that.
they're saying it's true."
Hare Krishna Maharaj, what is a scientific way to explain to somebody? Like let's say I want to tell my kids are okay because I talk to them about philosophy, like outside, that we should not be killing ants. If there are ants in your home, you should try as much as possible not to kill them, or killing mosquitoes. What is the scientific way to explain that, Maharaj?
Scientific way.
Yeah.
Well, what Prabhupada said was, if there are ants in your house, mosquitoes or whatever, it's because you're not keeping your house clean. He would say like that.
So just focus on that. Yeah.
So focus on keeping your house very clean. You should get in the summertime. You should have screens, right? And you should always have to keep the house very clean. Food should not be left outside. You should sweep and clean regularly. Right after a meal, you have to do all that. It's all about hygiene.
Hygiene.
So if you're very hygienic, then you won't have any invasion of insects or animals looking for food. They're all looking for food. So if there's no food, they're not gonna stay there very long.
That's true, Maharaj. That's a very logical and scientific way of explaining without
Yeah.
having to go into
They're gonna go
what's
to the
in-
neighbor's house, not
Yes.
your house. They're gonna look around in your house, you know, if there's nothing to eat here, let's go next door. The insects are very smart, they're not crazy, you know, they're not gonna stay in a place where there's no food.
Not waste their time.
Yeah. And you can use things like aromatherapy. You have different essential oils that you can use also to keep, you know, like lavender oil, or even better than that, you have stronger essential oils that will keep the insects and bugs away. Have you ever studied the power of essential oils? You should.
Is there any particular book or something?
Yeah, there are plenty of books about the power of essential oils. Yeah. Just like myself, I always have this is my peppermint oil. So
And I'm using these oils, but it's good to learn as well.
yeah, well, there are books you can get very easily explain the power, the medicinal qualities of these essential oils. So I always have my peppermint oil with it.
What is it used for?
Huh?
Why? What is the purpose of peppermint oil?
It'll clean your sinuses. Not only that, there's many other things also, but I use it a lot like this, like, you know, there it is right there. I use it all the time. You can use it to keep bugs away also. You can use it for
So do you dilute it
breathing.
and spray or what?
What?
Do you dilute it and spray when to keep the bugs away?
You can use it without diluting it. It's even stronger. Your family might not like it. Say, it smells like lavender oil. It smells like peppermint oil, you know. But actually, it smells good.
All this smell really good.
All of them smell really good.
Right.
And I usually use the oils on my body also. So when you go to work, people go, who's got that? It smells really good, you know. Look at you. Well, it's me. I was on an airplane, right? And going somewhere. And I took out my bottle of lavender oil. Anyway, I have it here.
It's here, Maharaj.
And I was putting lavender oil myself, you know, on the airplane.
Yes.
So, yeah, there it is. So one of the stewardesses was walking by, and she went like that. She said, where's the smell coming from? And I told her, it's me. He said, oh, really? Yeah. And then I showed her my bottle of lavender oil. You know what she did? She took her bottle of Uncle Harry's lavender oil out of her pocket and showed it to me.
Wow.
You are that Uncle Harry?
No, when I told her I was Uncle Harry, she called all the other ladies, you know, they all came,
Stewards.
they were excited, you know,
Oh, wow.
because they were all using lavender oil in the airplane, because the airplane's air is really contaminated. And they were all
Worst
using
way to
Uncle
travel.
Harry's oils.
It sounds like
That would have been a huge
Yeah.
testimonial. You should have gotten.
It sounds like a movie scene, man.
Yeah, I mean, they were surprised. They were really surprised, you know. When the one lady told me, "You're Uncle Harry," I said, "Yes." Then she took out a bottle of Uncle Harry's from her pocket to show me that she's also, you know, an Uncle Harry's aficionado. Someone who's
Fan.
really hooked on your products.
Wow.
Yeah. That was a long time ago also. I don't take airplanes anymore, but
They would have been very thrilled, Maharaj.
yeah.
Mhm.
No, whenever people find out that I'm Uncle Harry, they get really surprised. You know, it's like they're talking to a movie star or something. Haribol.
Haribol.
All English, Prabhupada.
Jai.
Thank you very much. Take away from today. Take away from today. is Since the devotee constantly chants the Hare Krishna mantra, no contamination of the material world can touch it. There it is. That's our takeaway. This is Canto 4, Chapter 12, verse number 37. Since the devotee constantly chants the Hare Krishna mantra, no contamination of the material world can touch him. He is therefore actually purified. Muchi haya suchi haya yadi Krishna bhaja. It is said that even a cobbler or a person born in the family of the cobbler can be elevated to the position of a brahmana or suchi if he takes to Krishna consciousness. Any person who is purely Krishna conscious and who engages in chanting the Hare Krishna mantra is the purest in the whole universe. Whoa, that's a big statement. The purest in the whole universe. So now we know what a gift Prabhupada has given us. The Hare Krishna mantra. Hare Krishna,
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna Krishna,
Hare Hare.
Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare
It's
Hare.
very good to come to class and hear Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita, you know, and hear Prabhupada's purports, and we become purified. This is our best today. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. All glory to Prabhupada.
Ki Jai.
And Maharaj, that's the only protection against going into the real world, Maharaj.
Yeah.
Not your purification, and without this, I don't know how I can even enter the real world now.
Well, every morning you come to class and get a inoculation against Maya and nonsense. Haribol. All glory to Prabhupada. We have to thank Prabhupada every day. Otherwise, we will be completely lost. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.